We're going to go. Have you read the cases of Don't Buy This Jacket campaign?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And at a, I think it's maybe a little bit, crazy idea, maybe ridiculous one. To, at the most famous shopping day from the biggest media channel, New York Times, to say, oh, don't buy our products. So, to oppress consumerism at a consumers festival. So, if you're thinking of you are a designer of this campaign, what should you do to convince your investors it's not a waste of money?
I thought it was a very clever campaign. It is obviously using Patagonia's um, reputation for ethics.
Yeah, sure.
They offer recycling of their jackets and repair, for example. So they're emphasising the quality of their clothing, and the fact that if you have bought a jacket already, you don't need another one.
Yeah. And in this case, do you think there's a connection between a voluntary corporation social responsibility and the frameworks of regulation or governments? Or in another words, do you think the corporation's concerns about the environment at all?
Um, in this case, I think it is genuine. I think it's actually part of Patagonia's brand
Yeah.
to be seen as caring for the environment. And I think that they probably view their customers as people who are concerned about the environment. So it's not a mismatch there between their corporate values and their customers' social values.
Yeah, just anyway, like we discussed, we think that increasing numbers of corporations are now start to attach importance to their brand image. And they use some of social marketing campaign to establish a relatively more positive brand image. And when we look at maybe a press room of a brand's website, and we will see some of exaggerated amount of the report to talk about charity,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about fund and donation, to talk about uh, helping those disadvantaged people. But audience, maybe an example is me, I may feel, oh, they're all the same, or they are fake, the corporations are performing. So this kind of thoughts maybe would ruin the efforts of the marketers. So as a marketer, how would you like to let your consumers feel the brand is sincere, they're doing the right thing, what's the writing style things they should to take consideration into?
I think part of it is strategic, so the brand would need to position itself over time as being ethical and being concerned with ethical matters and not just commercial ones. It would ring hollow, would be insincere for consumers if, uh, say, for example, an alcohol company suddenly developed a social conscience about violence caused by drinking. That would seem like a mismatch. Uh, Whereas I think in the case of Patagonia, their credentials are already there. It's part of their brand. You might also say, I mean, it started over 100 years ago. Rolls-Royce cars used to advertise
Oh,
the um, the quality is remembered long after the price is forgotten. So they would actually explicitly say our cars are very, very expensive, but
wow.
they're expensive because they're good. So that, you know, they've always had a tradition for quality, and that allows them to charge a premium. So it's really about your whole brand having a message that's consistent.
And how do you think about demarketing? What is the appropriate level for a demarketing advertisement, a suitable usage of the fair appeal to show its accountability but not to overmuch for the consumer's aversion, like a tobacco company, uh, which is the profitable organization is more suitable. Like I told you, the slogan and the Australia's horrible image in their cigarette box. What do you think?
Well, I think in the case of cigarette boxes, cigarette companies have fought very hard against the legislation
Yeah.
that they have to make their boxes ugly. And there's still a court case going on um, that the international tobacco companies are trying to make Australia's law invalid for that. So that's a difficult example because it's one that's forced on cigarette companies by legislation. They're not doing it by choice.
Cool. And finally, do you have any general advices for the future marketers in this field of social marketing?
I think, as ever, marketers need to go with their audiences and with their consumers. So if you're marketing a product that has any connection to responsible consumption, then you can make that part of your brand. You could say from the outset, our brand uses recycled materials, for example, or we give 5% of our net profits to an environmental charity. You can do that if that is where your brand is positioned. But it's very difficult, I think, for a brand to reposition itself as suddenly being ethical when it's never had any real ethical concerns before.
Well, so thanks a lot for accepting my interviewing.
Oh,
That's
pleasure.
it.
I hope
Yeah.
that's useful for
Bye.
you.
Thanks. Oh.
Good.